sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
Hello, neighbors. There are real challenges facing Broomfield and important things to discuss. Therefore, I am absolutely furious that I have to again address adults acting like fools on social media instead of continuing to do my deep dives on issues and analysis for our town. I guess I should be thankful that at least this time it's just plain old misinformation and harassment instead of First Amendment violations. So anyway, today we discuss, yet again, social media nonsense. If you are wondering how I log this despite my famous avoidance of most social media, the truth is, I actually don't have to do a thing. My inbox is constantly flooded with screenshots from irritated Broomfield residents tired of the antics of my opponent and her minions. A little hint. Just because someone voted for the incumbent last time and/or is a registered Democrat, it doesn't mean they can't change their mind now that they know what they'll get stuck with. So the core topic of the day. Unlike my opponent, I make every effort to not expose private citizens, but when a documented activist within my opponent's campaign publishes an open letter targeting me by name, it's now time to discuss it. I learned today a letter to the editor was published in the Broomfield Enterprise calling me out by name. The author, Sandra, aka Sandy Anderson, is well known for wasting an enormous amount of everyone's time irritating people on social media. And, despite some occasionally hilarious attempts to disguise this, she is one of the most obvious, visible, and active supporters of my opponent, Heidi Henkel. Side note, looking at this example communication here, if you find it odd that my opponent has so much support outside of Broomfield, I do too. In fact, I at times get confused as to whether she is running for a city council or for a state or federal position. Perhaps if we pull travel expense records, we'll learn more, but that's certainly a topic for another day. So, this letter to the editor doesn't really make very many cohesive points, but I'll try and identify some themes. First, and most egregiously, there is a continuation of ongoing slanderous attacks on one of our neighbors. Nobody running for office or anything, just a guy trying to live his life. When I received Ms. Anderson's email claiming intimidation, I looked into it despite not witnessing anything of the sort at the event. Of course, it was a crowded event. The number of people fed up with the status quo is staggering, so I might have missed something. But when I checked in with volunteers, organizers, and others, I heard absolutely nothing untoward happened. Being thorough, I looked through some of the Facebook clippings accumulating in my inbox, and that let me know she knew this person very well and could hardly have been afraid of him given the long-standing feuding and how much he has tolerated without a hint of violence. I know my opponents like to abuse the First Amendment, but he has every right to raise his finger against injustice. Well, it was obvious Ms. Anderson was spying, poorly, for the other campaign, and it was already known to me she was actively supporting and volunteering for my opponent. Yet another reason I didn't respond is that I was frankly disgusted by what I saw on the Facebook posts shared with me. At the same time, Ms. Anderson sent me the emails with this picture attached. The exact same picture was posted on Facebook as part of a blizzard of derogatory and homophobic comments. Unlike my opponents, I do understand and support the First Amendment, so I certainly am not saying they should be censored. On the contrary, let's celebrate the opportunity to know who we are dealing with. Now let me be crystal clear to all you partisan hacks out there that cannot stand the thought of an independent running for office in our non-partisan municipal races. Our neighbors are not props for you to use, no matter what their sexual orientation happens to be, and I will not spare a moment of energy or effort for anyone that feels they can abuse my neighbors no matter what their sexuality is. And don't try and turn people against each other on the basis of their religion or personal beliefs either. Everyone is welcome to disagree on lifestyle, beliefs, or anything else, as long as they respect each other's rights and live together in peace. I don't care if you fly the Pride flag, the Gadsden flag, the Order of Malta, the American flag, or all of them together. We all want the same thing from our city government: clean water, smooth roads, and to not get taxed out of our hometown. Moving on, I'm surprised Ms. Anderson thinks I talk too much about potholes, given that in all of my extensively researched and analyzed topics, I have yet to be able to actually get to public works infrastructure, even though I think that and fiscal stability are the top priorities. But I keep having to deal with nonsense like this and other things like the city council's determination to waste our money on a 4.5-acre artificial lake. I've already put out more research and analysis on municipal matters than anyone on the current council, and I believe these videos speak for themselves. I'm not entirely sure why Ms. Anderson thinks our city is so complicated because it has a Department of Motor Vehicles. Perhaps she doesn't get out much. And the current city councilors don't seem to deal with any of the things that she lists in much detail since they are so busy talking about their pay and benefits. You really don't need to be a genius to run for city council. Unfortunately, we have ample evidence of this. Common sense and a little humility is just about all you need to do the job right. But if you want more than that, and the frequent analysis videos I'm putting out are somehow not enough for you, you are more than welcome to stack up my education, experience, criminal record, bankruptcy records, connections, achievements, or anything else against anyone on city council. I know I'll do just fine. Speaking of doing just fine, as far as the endless attacks on another candidate, leave me out of it. Maria is tough as nails and doesn't need me fighting her battles. And everything I know about Maria Boutros is that she understands how the financial irresponsibility and distorted priorities of the current city council is hurting our city. She has a keen understanding of what our city needs, and she tirelessly connects and reaches out to our neighbors to hear their views, share information, and be better prepared to represent them. And that's all I need to know. The voters are welcome to make their own judgment, and I have little concern about what they'll find when they ignore the slanders and just talk to Maria. Finally, as to why I'm generally not on social media. Well, these videos are an enormous amount of effort, and I have a day job on top of it. So I just don't have time for soap operas. Let me put it another way. As the world turns, I am one of the busy and restless, using my one life to live to do my best for my bold and beautiful Broomfield. I don't have time to deal with all you children, and if I tried to, the stress would put me in the general hospital. If you are tired of municipal government and soap opera and want to bring boring back to Broomfield, remember to vote in November.